Hello and welcome back. Have you come up with your reasons why you want to feel more alive yet? If not so, I would highly encourage you to pause the video right now and do that before we go through this video. So, what we want to be talking about in this video is the following. The mass unaliveness as a global dilemma. You know, it doesn't take much creativity or insight ability to see that the majority of people are really unalive and live a life of depression, boredom, meaningless life, like depending on what, time of, what year you see that and watch that course, but the numbers of prescription drugs for depression, antidepressants being prescribed is just skyrocketing. So, look up on Google the current statistics, it will blow your mind. So many people are so deeply in delusional suffering that they need this strong medication to feel alive and to, just overshadow their unaliveness that they feel from day to day. It is truly shocking, and if they just knew, if they just knew, things could change. I really believe the world can change in a decade if we all do our part, and the part that you can do is to transform yourself first and be an inspiring light, of grace for other people that suffer from this general unaliveness as well. So, coming back to the core topic, that's really close to my heart and hopefully to yours as well. So, as another motivation that you can be an inspiring leader for change in the world, by transforming that within yourself, not only will you find happiness, but also others that you touch. So, but coming back to the core topic, the global dilemma is many people experience depression, a meaningless life, and boredom, generally unaliveness. And why is that? Because they are cut off from their feelings, as we've stated before. Aliveness comes from being in touch with the feelings, and unaliveness comes from being cut off from the feelings. And the reason why we are cut off from our feelings is because otherwise, if we would, be in touch with our feelings, we would need to confront the truth at some point. And the truth means what really is there. For example, you might discover that you actually still are very dependent upon your parents, that you actually still love an ex-boy or girlfriend of yours, that you actually hold quite a resentment towards your kids for something that they've done in the past, that you actually feel very, very unhappy with yourself, and you actually hate parts of yourself a lot. You're actually not a self-loving person, whatever the truth might be. In truth, I'm not talking about something that some spiritual guru tells you about how the world works or whatever. It is the truth of what is there. To see that what is there actually is there. Doesn't mean that it's right, but truth means looking at that and accepting, okay, this is the way that it is right now, looking at the truth. And also what is part of the truth is, in order to change those things, we need to make life-changing decisions. This is part of the truth as well. We can't get around that, but many people avoid that. And just imagine the life of a person working in a normal 9-to-5 job for some government agency, something, in public service, which is something stereotypical that most people find really meaningless because they don't see the impact of what they're doing right away. So let's say this person working from 9 to 5 in this government agency and gets triggers throughout the day of not being good enough, not really feeling fulfilled, being put down by the boss and made fun of by the co-workers, and all those triggers, they just accumulate, and throughout the day the triggers amass a certain threshold that I actually really would need to change something in order to feel happy, in order to create life circumstances that serve me in my growth and my free self-expression. But in order for this realization not to come up, we do great efforts to avoid this truth, to avoid the life-changing decisions that are very, very uncomfortable. And in this way, we are in such trouble and in such suffering because the triggers get very, very subtle. As I said, life pushes us towards aliveness. Life pushes us towards realizing that. So it's the same like with a pain in the leg. If you don't pay attention, it just gets worse. Like if you don't pay attention to the cause. For example, you walk a certain way that's very unhealthy for your feet, unless and until you realize that your walking behavior is creating this pain, you won't get around this pain. And then by killing that with painkillers in the same way as we kill our depression with antidepressants, is not the real thing. Like, it's not working on the root cause. So the triggers amass and they get more and more subtle, in the same way as the pain in the leg gets just more and more amplified and shows in more and more ways for us to actually raise into our consciousness, so we actually get to see the root cause and work on that. This is why those triggers get just more and more and kind of amplify until it reaches like a critical tipping point where some people really do make the shifts in their life. But this doesn't happen when we kill that with, you know, spikes of emotions and just distract ourselves and working with antidepressant drugs. You know, it's nothing against that per se. You know, I don't want to state any opinion for and against. I'm just saying we need to face the truth, and whatever we do then to deal with that, whether we use pharmaceuticals or not, is the entire different decision, but we can't get around the truth. This is what I'm saying. It's not the either or. It is starting with the core root of where it's coming from. So, as I said, those triggers, you know, they accumulate during the day. And in order to not feel them, we push them down, we avoid them. You know, a phone is always easy to reach. There's always a WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram thing to look at, or a newsfeed or our favorite blog, or some notification that comes in that's easy to distract ourselves. Also with our thoughts, it's easy to run away from our feelings and go into thought. And this is why we really create this depression and meaningless life and life of boredom, because when we cut off from a certain feeling, for example, I feel really put down by my boss, and I really know deeply in my heart I actually cannot continue working in this environment and feel true happiness and fulfillment. When we avoid this feeling and cut off from that feeling, we also cut off from every other feeling. It is not like separately kind of we can selectively cut off from any one feeling. It is the ability that we have to interfere with feeling anything at all. So with not facing the truth of this situation, we cut off from our general ability to feel, you know. So we have a global dilemma. Many people are in this deep state of suffering, of meaningless life, of boredom. And meaningless life comes from a life not having any juice, and the juice of life is emotion. When you don't have emotion, I mean, you do have emotions, but only the you know, intense ones. You lose touch with the subtlety, and this is where the juice of life is, and this is where the meaning comes from. The meaning comes from the subtleties of emotions that make you feel alive, and to face the truth and make life-altering decisions, so you can actually create life circumstances that give you life meaning. You know, and this is like a path you need to walk, but you need to start with the first step. Finding a purpose and meaning for your life is not done in a 1 hour writing session. So in order to find your purpose, it's like a road, you know, of many years for most people, or even decades. But you need to start with the first step. For example, you know, getting out of this unhealthy, sick environment that you're stuck. You know, the example that we used before. It starts with the first step. So the meaningless life means being trapped in pushing down those emotions that we don't feel, and not getting forward closer to the truth, closer to our truth. There's not something like, you know, this truth, but our truth. So the action step for this video. I would like to encourage you to see whether you can come up with what truths are you not confronting, are you running away from. And I know this is incredible, intense work, in the sense of that makes us face our fears. And if we don't have practice with staying with what is discomforting, then we might especially skip this video and don't do the exercise, because that's kind of hard. But I encourage you to do so. Please come up with the things that you are avoiding, because this is going to be crucially important for the next videos. And you know, even if the going is tough right now and you pause after the video and you actually want to skip forward because you see, man, this is only the first module and he's talking for so many minutes and how am I all getting this done? You will, you know, put emphasis on this course. It is going to help you, and it is going to make the changes, not for you, but through that you can make the changes. So really take the time to do that. It is about depth of work rather than rushing through. You see, there's a great saying, like even the greatest sprinter, you know, gets to the goal last when he runs in the wrong direction. You know, if we do the same things that have not gotten us to the results, but that has gotten you to this course, you know, to the desperation to buy that actually, and to take this course, we need to start running in the right direction, and that is letting go of the rush, you know, really taking deep practice. So, come up with what are the truths that you need to face and the feelings that you will cut off from. And then see you in the next video.